Hello everyone, how's it going? It has certainly been a while. It is Automated Matt here. I haven't posted an update in a minute, like I said, so I wanted to get that out there. In the meantime, I did want to say to all of you, thank you for subscribing. This has gone up quite a bit since I even last posted. I think we're almost at 440 subscribers or so as of recording this, so that's pretty cool. Appreciate the support, and I hope you all find the content helpful if you're at all interested in automated trading or if you've been interested in Quantvue. So hope you found what you've been looking for. So like I said, I don't really have a particular agenda. This is just going to be a very kind of like broad, really quick high-level update. I'm just really quickly, I'm going to show my P&L basically since I've started using Quantvue. Talk a little bit about that. And then today, Anthony, the CTO over there, actually just announced some new updates to Qzeus, which is their flagship algo. So we have that to look forward to. We'll talk about that very briefly, and then just kind of go from there. But, you know, I think a lot of you have specific questions. So if you do, just go ahead and leave a YouTube comment. I'm usually pretty good about getting back to the comments on the, answering comments and replying in the section there. So go ahead and leave a reply there, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I enjoy helping you all out. I know, especially when it comes to Quantvue, it's obviously a pretty expensive software. So yeah, we can definitely chat about whatever. Or if there's like a very specific video you're interested in me doing, just let me know. I'm happy to do that as well. But without further ado, so, you know, one of the more common questions I'll get is just about, you know, how profitable am I? Am I making money with this? So I thought it'd be fun just to show you my overall equity curve since I've started, or just my overall profit. And before we get into this, you know, I want to say I haven't always been as consistent as I should be. There's actually quite a while where I wasn't using this, and also sometimes where I was either oversizing or I wasn't following kind of Quantvue's best practices. For example, last year, around this time last year actually, this giant $5,000 loss, or almost $6,000, that was a result of me running their software during contract rollover week, which is something we very directly don't recommend. So, you know, some caveats there to consider, but overall, I'm still very happy with how I've done. So most of this year I was running from around, this time onward, and in between here from like October to September, I wasn't really running as often or as much, or I was running a very small size. But ultimately I decided to start running Qzeus towards the end of like towards October last year on 2NQ, and that was when I had some of these gains that you're seeing back here. And then I did ultimately, like I mentioned, kind of not follow the advice. I had a very large loss, and that kind of caused me to reevaluate a bit how I was using the software, reevaluate my sizing. But all in all, we still ended 2024 very profitably at 7K there, which was awesome to see. For context, when I bought this software, I think it was around, what is it? Like 3.5K. Obviously, the price has gone up quite a bit since then, which we can talk about as well. But yeah, so that was 2024, and again, pretty much all of this was algorithmic trading. I think there's a couple losses in here, like maybe a couple of the $1,000 losses are me trying to get cute and do some more manual trading, and then I think some of these smaller $1,000 wins here might have been some very lucky manual trading as well. But by and large, you know, between the wins and the losses, I would say this is fairly accurate, within like $1,000 of what I made in 2024 automated trading, and that is all using Quantvue's tools. I have never automated anything else into my cash accounts. And then just taking a look at this year, which I'm sure obviously more of you will be interested in. So this year is a bit different. I strategy hopped quite a bit, which I obviously don't recommend, you know, and that's something I've talked about is, you know, do as I say, not as I do, right? But all in all, after commissions and everything, I made about 4.5K this year. And again, there are a few losses in here that were manual trading, so this probably could be closer to actually more like 6.5, maybe even 7K, or excuse me, more like 5.5, maybe 6K if I didn't try manual trading. And then as well too, right around here after this big loss, I made an error where I thought I had turned on my automation the next day, and I hadn't. And basically, I missed out on a very big martingale win for Qzeus, which would have all but almost completely recovered my losses. And I would be, yeah, just already, just by virtue of that, closer to like 6K actually, or almost like 7K, I think. So that kind of sucks. But, you know, I think considering how much money I keep in my accounts personally, you know, this is a very good return. And, you know, I'm basically just, for me, this is basically just playing with profit at this point is what I'm trading with, which, you know, is a very great place to be, and somewhere we should all, you know, you want to try and get to where you can just put in your amount, make some money, take it out, and then just play with profit, because then you're just playing with house money. And, you know, that's a very good place to be because it really relieves quite a bit of the stress, which is what we all aim for. Again, most of this was with Qzeus. I did around January do a little bit of what was a different Renko strategy on NQ, and then I did play a little bit around with the ES strategy that was built out for Qzeus, which was probably not as tested as it should have been before I put it on my cash account, but I did, and that's on me. It had some pretty good short-term results, but was probably overfitted a bit. But all in all, still Qzeus is the main thing I use for my cash accounts. And yeah, overall, you know, despite some of these larger losses, it has been very, very profitable for me, which I'm grateful for. And then going into Qzeus, so just today, like I was saying, they actually announced a new update to Qzeus, which is pretty cool. Basically, with this update, how I understand it is, you can kind of see here, there's different settings, and some of these settings will either once a trend has started, or if it tries to take a trade it'll invalidate that trade more quickly if it thinks it's no longer valid, which is what you can see here with this -3 stoppage. And then as well, something to note, so Qzeus, the time stream that it runs on, right, is 0935, which I have my chart set to West Coast PST, but you know, what that typically means, right, is this should only be in a trade if this opened right at, or if this turned green, this trend, right at 6:35 a.m. or 9:35 West Coast. But there's a new feature they introduced into Qzeus, which has made it so that it'll take trades within the trend now. So, you know, if you miss the move, it'll still take the trade within that trend, and you'll have an opportunity to still catch it that way. And that's what you see here with this like 720 trade, right? Again, it took a trade with the trend, and then it took even another entry taking a trade with the trend, and did actually get stopped out a bit early because there's also another feature they added in where if it's in for X amount of time or X amount of bars, the trade will automatically stop and just exit you out. But those are the basic kind of new additions, as well as just some different like doubling down features and so on and so forth. So pretty cool. You can see here, obviously, like we changed this panel a bit, which I don't like, but you can see here that obviously, especially considering this is what with a 3MNQ base, that's pretty exceptional. And you can see just like comparing what was the original intermediate, which is what most people used, you know, comparing that setting to what is now the new setting, which is where it is going to be taking those pullbacks and trying to just be a bit more aggressive overall. It trades more, and you know, it's making some good money. I think overall, you know, if you look at it like over the whole year, it's going to win less trades, but ultimately it will make you more money, even with the smaller profitable trades factor, just by virtue of how many more trades it is taking. And even with that, it's still overall a pretty actually still much better. It's even better with the or no, legacy intermediate, yeah, has a higher profitable trade, which is really cool. If that's something you want to do, if you want to be less risk averse, but if you're not afraid to go balls to the wall, the new either intermediate or aggressive functions you have might be a good fit for you. So something to consider. Obviously, a higher win rate, lower P&L on the legacy settings, but then higher P&L, lower win rate on these newer settings. And really, the drawdown is still, at least in my opinion, pretty acceptable for 3MNQ. Definitely something to look at and consider. So that's been pretty cool. And then there's been some new settings that I've kind of swept the way that everyone's been really excited about, which these are called the chocolate bear settings made by one of the team members over at Quantvue, chocolate bear in the Discord. And she has been crushing it, I know, despite these being losses. I think this is actually a very good algo in the way it's probably best to be ran. And the CEO, Tuchonomics, he talks about this in their videos, but probably the best way to run this algorithm is going to be with a pretty healthy profit target, because what this basically is it's just like a hyper scalper where it's looking to trade within the trend and it's trying to trade it very quickly and get out very quickly for 5, 10, and it trails, so sometimes it might be as much as 20 or even 30 points of profit, but it basically is just going to have like an exceptionally high win rate. But then you'll get losses like these, which can be pretty fucking massive, obviously. So this is pretty good to run on prop accounts, in my opinion, with a healthy profit target. Or if you're a little more or less risk averse, it's also okay to run these into a cash account with a profit target as well. That said, fully up to you, and none of this is financial advice. And I know for me personally, with my cash account, at least until this is all on ATS 2.0, which is their own dedicated thing they're building out, I'm just going to be running everything into a normal, or I'm just going to be running Qzeus because that's what I feel safest with. So, to each their own, but there's a lot of exciting options out there. There's Ninja Trader if that's more your speed. So, yeah, lots of options, but ATS 2.0 is hopefully right around the corner, and it's definitely something for all of us to be excited about if you're a Quantvue user. As well, too, I'm not going to show too much of this just because I don't want to reveal some of like my sensitive information. I'm too lazy to edit it out. But they did launch QuantLynk recently, which is just an alert connector, essentially. At least that's how it is right now. Very good alert connector where you can manage connections. You can, easily link together like TopStepX, TradeEvade accounts, and have them all trade your alerts. And trade Qzeus, trade Chronos. You're gonna have the same alert give a signal to both your TopStepX account and to your Blue Sky accounts and TradeEvade. Very, very flexible. I really like it. I think it's probably the best out there for this kind of software. I was formerly using Alert Dragon, which is a sister company, and if you find that suits your needs better, I think that's a great product to use, and it is a bit cheaper than QuantLynk. I think QuantLynk is almost $100 a month right now. But if you are looking to connect to prop firms as well, maybe you're not even a Quantvue customer and you want a way to very easily just connect your TradeEvade prop firms or your TopStep prop firms to your own personal strategy or whatever else you're using. QuantLynk is a great way to do that. I don't even have an affiliate link, at least I don't think I do, and I'm promoting this, so that just means I really do believe it's good, and I think it's probably the best out there for the market. Definitely better than like traders posts and everything like that, just from a purely like timed execution standpoint. So check it out if that sounds interesting to you. OAuth, really easy to use, very intuitive, and yeah, highly recommend it. Then yeah, if you are interested in Quantvue's products, go check out their stuff here, quantvue.io. I am an ATS customer of theirs and I love their stuff. Again, I always say this, I'm not paid by Quantvue to be doing any of this. I just like their products. I think they're great. Maybe that'll change in the future. They're a really cool team, and I obviously very much believe in what they're doing, but regardless, Quantvue's great. I did want to talk about a little bit just the price of the software, right? It is closer, at least for their ATS software, it's like 8.5 and 9K. something like that right now, maybe almost 10K at this point. And you know, for me, I obviously bought this software when it was more like 3.5K or something like that, so it was a much easier decision. If I knew what I knew today about Quantvue and I still had to pay that amount, I would. I still think this, you know, is worth it, based off what I've seen and how this software has performed for me. That said, just because I think this is a good financial device and a good way to approach this, you know, I would only buy this software and, you know, choose to pay that premium if you are okay with the potential that Quantvue may never make you your money back, and you might not make, you know, return on investment with using their products. I don't think that would ever happen. Like I said, I really believe in their products, but you know, at the end of the day, past results are not indicative of future results, and that's just something to be mindful of and be considerate of. If you were ever to purchase it, I would say only purchase it if that's money you can truly afford to use, and you can accept the possibility of not getting that money back through trading. Like I said, I don't think that'll happen, but it is something to be mindful of. You know, at the end of the day, you know, all we're trying to do is trade in the casino with an edge, right? That's what trading is, automated trading specifically. And that edge can not always go the way we want it to sometimes, and there can be some pretty big losses, and there can be a lot of days where, you know, you might blow half your account because maybe you're oversized, or maybe just the algorithm didn't work how you thought it would work that day. So all that to say, trading's not without risks. Be mindful of that. They added this into they had like a disclaimer in, which I actually really like, because, you know, it's important to be mindful of all these things when you're trading, and all the risks associated with it. So anyways, that's all I got today, everyone. I am still using Blue Sky. I've gotten like a $500 in payouts this year. I kind of got a little fucked by how their payout system currently works. When I signed up, basically I can only ever withdraw 50% of my profits till I get to a live account, and that's not even just overall 50%, that's 50% weekly. That has since 50% of the weekly profits, that has since been removed, so I do still recommend Blue Sky, but it's been very annoying for me when, you know, I might only make like 700 on a given week, but then I'll do that over several weeks, right? So I can only withdraw like 350, and it's like, at that point I'd rather build a buffer. But, you know, from what I can tell and what I understand, they have removed that from their more recent updates, the more recent accounts. So still overall recommend them. But yeah, that's all I got, everyone. Again, let me know if you have any questions. Happy holidays, everyone. Again, you know, I haven't posted a video in a while, so I just wanted to at least share some kind of update. But yeah, still using Quantvue, still enjoying them, still recommend them. And yeah, that's all I got, everyone. Hope you have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll try and get more active in the new year, hopefully. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and leave a comment in the section down there. Thanks, everyone. Bye.